So I think it's safe to say that most of you have seen Combo Breaker 2025 by now. It was an amazing event. I streamed quite a lot of the top 8s, Virtua Fighter, Fatal Fury, Tekken, a bit of Street Fighter, and it was a lot of fun. So shout out to everyone that competed. I had a lot of fun watching it, but there was one glaring issue with the tournament, and it came with the grand finals of Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear Strive, to be more specific. I know that the Guilty Gear scene likes to separate themselves from the Strive community. And that issue comes by way of a player called Umisho. Now, I'm sure some of you know who Umisho is. I covered the incident with Umisho on this channel previously twice, where Umisho accused another player of sexual assault, and that turned out to be a lie, which is a seriously damning thing to do to somebody. And I am of the belief that whatever punishment was going to come the way of the person that would have done it to you should come your way. So whatever punishment you were going to give this individual, it should now go to Umisho, which I think is fair. You were going to ruin their life doing something like that, have them ostracized from this community, and probably make it very difficult for them to get work elsewhere. For lying, you should suffer those same consequences. It's terrible lying because there are people that genuinely deal with sexual assault, and it can be a very traumatic experience for that individual. It can ruin some people's lives. So lying about it should come with heavy consequences. But obviously in the Guilty Gear scene, that did not happen. Sorry, in the Strive scene, that did not happen. Umisho not only competed in the Guilty Gear tournament at Combo Breaker, but ended up winning the whole thing. Now, you can be a good player at the game, I don't really care. We're talking more about the human being here, and obviously anyone that accuses somebody of sexual assault when they weren't actually assaulted is a piece of shit. And it doesn't seem very controversial to say you should not be allowed to compete in tournaments. You should be banned altogether. Now in the FGC, if you go on Twitter, tensions seem to be rising, and it seems to be a little bit of a split down the middle between the left and the right. There are some people that sit in the middle, like myself. I've famously been called a fencer, and I'm happy to sit on the fence and watch the chaos from both sides. But every now and then, you do kind of have to pick a side. And on this situation, I picked the side of the people that are against Umisho competing in this tournament, and that should be the side of anybody that has any sort of decency. Now what I don't understand is why the TOs allowed this to happen. My understanding of these TOs, whether it be in Europe or in America, is that there is some line of communication between all of them. We know that for damn sure in the Melee community because of what they did to hacks, and from what I've been told by people that I know that know TOs, there is a direct line of communication. These TOs understand how this all works. They understand how to get in contact with each other, and they are very clear on who they want to ban. And there are plenty of players that they've banned for much less. There are loads of players. We don't need to go through all of the names. You guys know names like Infiltration. You guys know names like Filipino Champ. There are a long list of players. There's even players within the Guilty Gear scene like Tempest who have been told to move away from the scene for the things that they've done. And some of them, rightfully so. Some of them, it's unfair. But if we just focus on Tempest, Tempest did something wrong, was told to leave, has not come back to my knowledge. And telling Tempest to leave and Tempest stepping back was the right course of action. I'm not here to argue that. What I'm here to argue is, why was that same energy not extended to Umisho? Now in the video that I did previously about Umisho, I did say that there seems to be preferential treatment within that community, and there is clearly some sort of bias. I mean, how would you feel if your sister or your brother was accused of something and people turned on them because of that accusation, and they're looking at you swearing in the face that they did not do these things, but an entire community is turned against them? How would you feel about that? Take your bias out of it, take your affinity to Umisho out of it. Just think of it on a human level. And when I sit here and think about that, if I was a TO, I would never let this person anywhere near the scene. You would never let somebody back into the scene that did the sexual assaulting, because there's a whole thought process that goes into it before you do it. You see your target, you take advantage of them, and then you go about your day. Why the hell would I let you into the scene after doing that? But on the flip side, there's a whole thought process that goes into, I don't like this person, I want to get them done. Let me accuse them of assault. And for some reason, the TOs were like, yeah, that's fine. Let them in. Protecting bad behavior like this is not just bad for the Strive scene. It is bad for the fighting game community in general. One thing that we hear all the time, whether you're over here in Europe, whether you're over in North America, wherever you might be, it's all about inclusivity and having the most welcoming people in our scenes at these tournaments. Now, you don't need to be part of the Strive scene to say that you do not want somebody in a venue that accuses others of assault. I know that I wouldn't want to be around someone like that. I don't particularly want to get accused for looking their way or maybe upsetting them because I said something and then they accuse me of something heinous like that. I don't think any sane person would want an individual like Umisho in in the venue. And if it feels like I'm being harsh to somebody that I've never met before, or if it feels like I'm overstepping boundaries because I'm not a part of the scene, I don't think you need to be part of that particular scene to understand on a human level what we just witnessed was actually pretty fucked up. And it's not the first time we've seen it. Umisho was allowed to compete previously. I believe it was East Coast Throwdown, where Umisho stuck up the troll gang phone sticker or whatever, phone casing, to sort of troll the audience, I guess, or troll the people watching at home, that Umisho was allowed to enter the tournament and there was nothing that we could do about it. And of course people got annoyed about it, and of course the gears started turning. And if you want to understand why people think that there is preferential treatment in that scene, look no further. Now, like I said, tensions are pretty high between different communities in the fighting game community right now, and there is a mindset that Umisho is being protected because of the identity of this individual. The belief is that Umisho is transgender, and that is what is protecting Umisho. Now, that is not an indictment of transgender people. In no way am I saying go post stupid comments. I always see people posting derogatory comments about trans people just because you're talking about a trans individual. But I could talk about a black individual. I don't expect you to start throwing around the N-word just because I'm talking about them. So this is not me saying go and harass them for their identity. This is me pointing out the fact that their identity might protect them in that scene. And it's hard to not see it that way. I mean, I don't really know what any other explanation there could be for it. Maybe there's like some sort of personal thing going on between the TOs in the Guilty Gear scene, or the Strife scene, sorry, and Umisho has something over them. What other reason would there be? So that's where I sit on it. Again, this is not Mike saying go and harass trans people. No, if you're one of those people, please, like, go and do one. I do not support people like that. Stop commenting on my posts when I call out an individual and using it as a way to attack the whole community. I don't operate like that. I deal with individuals. I look at on an individual basis. So anyone that was making comments about trans people, I just want you to know I don't co-sign your bullshit. I'm not out here endorsing that nonsense. This is a bad person that belongs to that community. Just like I meet plenty of white, black, brown, you name it, that are bad people that belong to those communities. It's not an endorsement of everybody else. But if you just isolate that community, it does seem pretty obvious at what is going on. I would love to know if there was another explanation. I'd love to know if the TOs have another explanation as to why Umisho was allowed to compete in a very big tournament like Combo Breaker. And it's even more infuriating given the fact that we've just lost Hacks. And all of these TOs, although they are in the melee side of things, there seems to be a lot of shared practices between the Smash scene, the melee scene and the Strife scene. And we saw the melee TOs just ostracize Hacks, like not allow him back into the community for making a comment, a controversial comment that is in no way anywhere near as bad as accusing somebody of sexual assault, and yet Umisho is allowed to compete because nobody can do anything about it. Now, I did get a comment on Twitter from somebody saying it can't be myself, it can't be technicals, it can't be one of us that are calling these things out. It has to be somebody within the Strive scene calling it out. But they also made the assessment that people in the Strive scene are too pussy to do anything about it, and nobody wants to lose their position. So I guess this thing will just continue happening. And it can't be a good feeling to know as somebody that plays Strive that has common sense that they're allowing somebody that did something pretty heinous to just compete and go about their business. And what it really comes down to here is consistency. Where is the consistency? There are so many banned players, so many people that have been ostracized, so many people that have their finger pointed at them. So when you see things like this, of course tensions in the scene will rise. Of course people are going to talk about it on Twitter. Of course it's going to take away from the attention of Combo Breaker, which for my money, even though I wasn't there watching it, was one of my favorite tournaments to watch in a very, very long time. We had a great time watching it, but it takes the spotlight off of that and it dampens the entire mood in the community when these things are allowed to happen. There are players that are banned in the fighting game community, and rightfully so, but you can't ban people as you see fit. There has to be a line of consistency here, and this is a pretty terrible thing to just let go. Now that's just my opinion on it. I'm not a member of the Strife community, but I am a human being within a community, and I think it's fair to point out when you see these things going on. So you guys let me know what you think about all of that. If this is allowed to run, then just unban everyone at that point. It doesn't really matter what people do. You'll keep on making concessions for them based on your biases towards that particular person and how maybe they identify or however they lean, or maybe even other things as well. We might even see other things start popping up. So you guys let me know what you think about that. Other than that, Combo Breaker was fantastic. Shout outs to all of the winners. I really, really enjoyed it, and hopefully we get to see more tournaments like that. Tekken's definitely looking like it's going in a bit better direction, so we'll see what happens there. But I'll see you guys very soon. Take care and peace.